All right, I'm going to read my intro that I wrote 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to the 17th episode of the Shameless Picture Show. That's kind of crazy to think. We've done 17 of these.
Look at us.
Not necessarily all together, but there have been 17 episodes with the title The Shameless Picture Show. Anyways, I'm Michael Viers, and with me, as always, is the man that taught me, if you want to fuck with the Eagles, you've got to learn to fly.
Nick Richards.
That was my favorite one thus far.
Yeah, that was good.
Today's episode is one I'm really excited for. It's the episode where we discuss Heathers. Heathers, directed by Michael Lehman from a script drafted by Daniel Waters, tells the story of young Veronica Sawyer and the agony of being in high school. Veronica is a member of a very elitist, color-coordinated sect of popular girls aptly named the Heathers, based on the fact that all of their names are Heather, except for Veronica. They never address that. Veronica is blasé about it all and unhappy, that is, until she meets the very mysterious Jason Dean. Jason Dean is, as Veronica describes, a dark horse in the running. He's not the typical kind of guy with his looks, his interests, and the fact that he's probably a sociopath. After accidentally killing the head of the Heathers and disguising it as a suicide, Veronica and JD head down a dark road of killing for the sake of making their high school a better place. This very dark comedy stars Winona Ryder, Christian Slater, Shannon Doherty, Lizanne Falk, and Kim Walker, and was released by New World Pictures in 1988.
Three blind mice.
Heather Chandler, Heather McNamara, Heather Duke, Veronica Sawyer.
Why are you such a mega brat?
Because I can be.
The most powerful clique at Westerberg.
God, Veronica, drool much?
Most people would die to get into it.
Heather number one just looked right at me.
I'm worshipped Westerberg, and I'm only a junior.
Veronica would kill to get out of it.
You were nothing before you met me. You were a Girl Scout cookie.
JD has come to answer her prayers.
I'm a no-arrest build-up man myself.
We'll kill her.
He's got a way with women. A way with words.
Is this as good for you as it is for me?
And a very special way with a gun. Veronica can't live with him.
Now! I love my dead gay son.
And she can't live without him.
Does this turn out weak or what?
I had at least 70 more people at my funeral.
What?
Their meeting was destiny.
That knife is filthy.
What do you think I'm gonna do with it? Take out her tonsils?
Their love has a body count.
I loved you. I was coming up here to kill you.
That's it. We're breaking up. Young love.
Heathers, a killer comedy.
I'm gonna have to send my SAT scores to San Quentin instead of Stanford.
So I know that you've established previously that this is one of your favorite films.
Yes.
Is it your number one favorite, or where do you think it lies in the running?
That's
I know it's hard to say definitively.
It's mainly hard to say because like I've always gone through life just saying that Halloween is my favorite film because it's the one that kind of sparked me to go to film school and all that fun shit. But every time I every time I rewatch either, like, I rewatch 4 movies, and they always are kind of butting head for first place. So if I could just do a 4-way tie with my first place film, it'd be John Carpenter's Halloween, Michael Lehman's Heathers, Tim Burton's Ed Wood, or Brian De Palma's Blowout. But
nice.
I'd say at the moment, Heathers is my favorite movie.
Because that's the one that you watched most recently.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I could definitely see this film being one that I get something more out of each time I watch it.
Yeah.
Which automatically gets a lot of bonus points for me. It means that there's a lot of depth to the film, that it's interesting.
There's also a lot of depth to the film.
And depth.
If I can add that dumb joke. So, Nick, this is your first time seeing Heathers.
Yes.
And it's one that I feel like I harp on everyone to watch, because it's weird because it's definitely got its cult status, but it's still a relatively, I'd even say go as far as say unknown film. There's a lot of people who don't know it, and and I really thought when Mean Girls came out that was gonna revitalize interest in this film, because the Mark Waters who directed Mean Girls is the brother of Daniel Waters who wrote Heathers, and Tina Fey wrote Mean Girls as her tribute to her love for Heathers.
Nice.
So I was really hoping it was gonna, like, because I saw this movie when I was a kid. My mom was watching it, and I don't remember a whole lot about it then. I just remember thinking it was just a really goofy, funny movie. I don't remember any of the subplot about suicide or any of that stuff. Right. But no, it's like you said, it's one that every time I watch, I find something new I like. And yeah, what did you think of it though?
It caught me off guard a little bit. I've always heard it talked about in context with The Breakfast Club, and I had like a Weird Science and all of those like classic late 80s, early 90s like suburb comedies.
Did you just create a subgenre? Because I've never heard that before. Suburb comedy.
I've never heard of it either, but I assume I'd never have any original thoughts, so
I like it.
So the first half made sense. Like, I was expecting the Mean Girls-esque social structure stuff.
Yeah.
When it turned into like a Bonnie and Clyde, like a serial murder film, like that was, it caught me off guard. I found it really interesting. I'm looking forward to watching it again and picking up on other things. I think there's a lot in there that I didn't pick up on. Like, I understood the narrative, but I think there's a lot of depth to explore.
Yeah.
The dialogue is friggin' amazing. And it's definitely my kind of weird. Like, it's the kind where like there's a flow of what happens in the story that your first reaction is, what? Why? But then you go back and you're like, okay, like, I see what you did there. And
yeah.
So yeah, it was a winner for me. I don't think that it like inspired a reassessment of my top 10 by any means.
That's fair.
But I got a lot out of it. I enjoyed it.
And it's one of those movies that I feel like I just saw at the right time, and that's why it adds so high up on my list. Because I saw it when I was a kid, and I thought, oh, this movie's kind of fun. And then I hadn't thought about it in years. And it wasn't until high school that they re-released it on DVD for the first time in God knows how long. And that might even been the first time on DVD. But I remember thinking, oh, this is that movie my mom liked. And I said to her, I remember like buying it. It's like, Mom, remember that movie Heathers you liked? And she's like, kind of? Like, for some reason, it stuck out to me way more than it stuck out to her.
It was one of her favorite movies. Oh, yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah. It's like, and I was like, well, I bought it. And so I rediscovered it in high school, and I just became obsessed with it. I had the same feeling when I watched Heathers, I guess, it's technically for the second time, but it felt like for the first time in high school that I had when I watched The Lost Boys for the first time, where I just became obsessed with it, and I was like, I just want to watch it again. And over the years, I've tried to read everything I can about it, to the point where I've read so much about it, I'm just hearing the same stories over and over again. And I'm like, I've read 2 different versions of the script over the time. I read the actual shooting script, and I read Daniel Waters' original 3-hour version of the film. Which is a story behind that, which we can touch on in a little bit. But
okay,
you mentioned the Hughes triptych earlier on with the 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, which this film was written to be the antithesis of those.
Okay.
Like Daniel Waters says now, it's like he's like watching like Breakfast Club now, and it's like I'll sit there and be like, wow, this is actually a pretty great movie. But he was like 21, 22 years old when he wrote this film. He was working in a video store in California, and he says, I was a pretentious film nerd. So when Breakfast Club came out, he's like, I wanted nothing to do with it. I was like, this isn't accurate to my version of high school. And I guess Heather's isn't either, but what?
That's
Well,
hilarious.
it could be.
Everybody's running around murdering people and passing it off as suicide. That's what happens in my high school.
Well, it's interesting because he says that he had his finger on the pulse a little more with the people at his high school because I love this. His name was Daniel Waters, and he wrote an article for their school paper called Troubled Waters. I just love that. But anyways, it's where he took essentially stories of his classmates, changed the names, and published them, and it was fucking huge.
Nice.
But his biggest issue, so like he kind of had his finger to like teenage issues, and then that plus the fact that he said his biggest issue with the Hughes films, and it's actually my biggest issue with them as well, is the fact that all of these kids' problems always comes down to blaming their parents.
Sure.
Oh, my life would be so much better if my parents weren't in the way. It's like parents were the enemy. And he said, he's like, I've never felt that. So he's like, I just, I don't get why that is always the seminal issue. These kids never blame themselves. They blame their parents for their issues. So he said, I wanted to make a movie that wasn't that.
It's funny because both of the two or main characters, they do, while the characters themselves never blame the parents, the film presents the parents still as flawed to a point that it affected the kids.
I didn't view it that way. Well, maybe JD's dad. He seemed a little strange.
Son, why don't you ask your little friend to stay for dinner?
I can't. My mom's making my favorite meal tonight. Spaghetti. Lots of oregano.
Oh, nice. Last time I saw my mom, she was waving from a library window in Texas. Right, Dad?
Right. Son.
That he blew up his wife.
Yeah.
Like and then, but still loves blowing things. Like that definitely made JD the sociopath that he was.
Yet he never blamed his father.
Right. The film connects it,
Yeah.
but that character doesn't.
And then Veronica's parents are really interesting because like the dad is just like gone. Like I can't even figure out a word to say that.
The way that they have those scenes where like it's the exact same dialogue.
Yep, framed
on
exactly
a different
the same.
day.
Yep.
Again, the film makes a connection that the parents are part of this problem. I mean, why introduce the parent characters at all? They're trying to show that her environment has shaped her into what is causing her to do this in some degree. But, as you said, Winona Ryder's character never says, oh, my parents are never there for me, and they're, it never does that, which is good.
And actually what I love, too, about the Winona Ryder's mom in this movie is that, for anything, near the end of the film, she kind of snaps back at her and gives her, like, this is how the world works. And I was like, I'm glad they did that,
Yeah.
Give that character a little bit of a spine. So we got your initial thoughts, and like one thing I feel like it's worth mentioning with this film is that this is a first film in a lot of ways. Michael Lehman, he came right out of UFC to direct this film. He did a couple shorts while in USC, but this is his first movie. Denise Denovi, who produced it, went on to later on produce with Tim Burton. This was her first producing role. And then Daniel Waters, this is his first screenplay. He later went on to do Batman Returns. I think Hudson Hawk. He did a couple other ones. And then he later on went on to direct a vampire movie of his brother called Vampire Academy, which I haven't seen. But
someday.
Yeah. But I just thought it was interesting, the fact that this is a first film for all of them. And like I feel like that's part of the reason why it has so much edge, because they had something they're trying to say.
Yeah.
They all were trying to prove themselves. Michael Lehman was trying to prove himself to be a very competent director, and later on would go on to do some of the better episodes of the television show True Blood. Denise Denove obviously went on with Tim Burton and Daniel Waters. Like, he's still writing and everything. It just, like, I feel like he's the one who he got the short end of the stick a little bit. And it could be some of the controversy behind this film and the fact that the film was not much of a success. New World Pictures essentially went out of business right after this film came out. If they said if they would have finished the film a week later, it would never have come out.
Huh. Wow. The hands of fate, man.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And I was reading recently that Winona Ryder, for example, she really wanted to do this film. But Daniel Waters didn't want her originally, and he didn't think she was pretty enough to play this role, and he wanted Jennifer Connelly instead.
Okay. Which
I find really amusing, but she was like willing to do anything to get the role, work for practically nothing. Christian Slater was a bit of a star at this point, so like him being like it just seemed like serendipity that everything came together. Winona Ryder had just done Beetlejuice, but I don't think it hadn't come out yet. She went to the Beetlejuice premiere while on set for Heathers, so like she hadn't gotten she had done a couple other little films, but Beetlejuice and Heathers are really the 1-2 punch that shot her into stardom.
Right.
So she really had to rally to get this part.
Nice.
So I don't know, just giving you unnecessary context.
No, very necessary. If we didn't talk about the context of the films we watched, then this would be a very short and boring podcast.
Probably. And what I was saying earlier about the 3-hour version of this film, which I was reading, it's funny to read through it and see what has all stayed and what hasn't. And it's worth mentioning that he had written, Daniel Waters had written this movie to essentially be directed by Stanley Kubrick. That's what he saw in his brain. Was he saw this as he's done his horror picture, he's done his war picture, he's done his old timey drama. This could be his high school film.
This is his suburb comedy.
Yeah, and I would have loved to see what Kubrick would have done with it, and actually to the point where and Michael Lehman kind of internalized the Kubrick thing, and they lit a lot of scenes like Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, some of the camera moves I could also see being a reference to that. Yeah,
and just the way that the fact that Christian Slater just felt a lot like Jack Nicholson, which he has said was not an intentional thing. That's just how he talks. He just sounds a lot like Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
But no, the script, the 3-hour script is really it's a lot wordier, and not even just in the dialogue, but in the descriptions. And here's one of my all-time favorite descriptions of a character. It's introducing Heather Chandler, who is the main Heather.
Okay.
And this is her descriptor, and I love this. The content of what Heather says is consistently offensive, but the tone in which she speaks is sexy, dangerous, and mysterious. She is a mythic bitch. And you get everything you need to know about that character from that sentence. I thought that was fantastic. So, Nick, I feel like I've been bogarting a lot of this conversation of just background information. What do you want to talk about in terms of Heathers?
Nice fidget spinner.
Yeah. It helps with my ADD.
I think, and I was telling you before we started recording, typically I take notes also, but the morning that I was watching this, my 2-year-old son was crawling all over me, preventing me from taking notes.
Jerk.
And I know, right? And I think, the pattern is, obviously when you're seeing a film for the first time, it's more of you're still absorbing the material.
Yeah.
So it's when you're rewatching something for the 5th or 6th time, then it's always easier for me to all right, here's all the bulleted topics that I want to discuss. So I have a couple of just quick things that I'll throw in there, things that caught my eye that entertained me.
Gotcha.
And then one bigger topic that will probably spur something more. So first is Winona Ryder's diary writing monocle.
It's even in the script too, which I love. Like it was in both versions of the script. That fucking monocle is there.
I love little stuff like that. When I was trying to get actors for Normal, one of the actors that ended up being on it, she said, normally I don't take smaller roles. Like, I've gotten to a point in my career. Yeah, I know. Well, she had gotten to a point in her career.
Well, real quick, there are no small roles. There are just small actors.
Right. Teeny tiny actors. For this kind of indie project.
Yeah.
And with little to no pay, and that, like, there's no reason for her to come on set for no pay for a 5-minute role in something that's probably not going to advance her career at all. She said specifically that the reason why she took it and that she wanted to be a part of it, no matter what, was the scene where the character Bruce and Taylor are in the van. They had just picked up the protagonist and they're driving, and it's an introduction of these two characters. And after his first line, picking them up, you see Bruce in the driver's seat, and he's eating a grapefruit, but he's eating it like you would an apple. So he just peeled it away, and he's just like, taking big bites of this unsegmented grapefruit.
Oh.
And she said that was what she thought was so great, that the script in general interested her, but it was moments like that made her want to be a part of it so bad. And that was that monocle for me. That was that, like, it shows the writer's, like, creativity is too broad of a term, like demented specificity that I want, that I try and have when I write.
No, and I do stuff like that too, where just like I'll come up with a weird little detail that just needs to be in scene. Like, I wrote a slasher film a couple of years ago, and I was very adamant about having a hula girl on the dashboard.
Yeah.
For no reason. And sometimes it's funny how these things come to be, where sometimes it is, in fact, the writer who came up with the monocle or something. But then you've got, like, have you seen Valley Girl?
No.
With Nicolas Cage. It's another one of my favorite comedies of all time. Nicolas Cage was homeless at the time when he did this movie. It was, like, really early on in his career. He was living in his car. And
down by the river.
Yeah, probably. And this is LA, so he'd probably, like, after finished shooting, drive on down the Sunset Boulevard, check out some concert, fall asleep in his car, and just show up to wherever set was tomorrow. And they had no phone. He had no phone, so no way to contact him. So every day it was like, please let him be here. And every day he'd come to set with a box full of shit that he wanted to include in the scene. So he'd look at the director and say, can I use this? No, that one doesn't work. Can I use this? And, like, my favorite one, because it wasn't in the script, he works at a movie theater, and he's snapping tickets and everything, and he's got a pair of 3D glasses on. And a guy comes up to him and asks him, and apparently this was an ad lib, and they just kept it.
Oh, bitch, and is this in 3D? No, but your face is.
Oh, like, I hate 3D. Just get it.
It's not in 3D. Have a nice flight.
And that was all just because he wanted to wear those 3D glasses. Most of his clothes he wore in it were just things he found, and he thought it'd be funny to wear.
That's awesome. I love, like, it can be a problem when the actor's vision is really starkly different than the director's, but when you have an actor that interested in giving the character complexity in a way that does work with the vision of everybody else, it's so rewarding.
Yeah. Not that Nicolas Cage has anything to do with Heathers. I just thought it was a pretty great story.
It's a great anecdote. Yeah. Something else that I appreciated was, so there's the scene where Winona Ryder shoves the car cigarette lighter into her hand, and then Christian Slater lights a cigarette on it. on the burn on her
Real
hand.
quick, and not because of like the misogynistic aspects. I just thought the idea of like someone lighting a cigarette off of their hand was so cool when I was in high school. As dumb as it is, and it makes no sense. High school, we just thought it's like, oh, that's cool.
Oh man, I wish I could be as cool as that guy, lighting my cigarette off of open flesh wounds.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
But I really liked at the end when Christian Slater blows himself up, that the explosion then in turn lights her cigarette.
Yeah, that's another thing I thought was super cool of him just
It
putting
was
his
a
arms
callback
out.
to
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I was like, high school me was just watching it going, he's so cool. And like I watch it now, it is like it just felt like someone had written like the most stereotypical cool character ever, and it fucking worked on me.
it charmed you.
There was even a moment where I was like, I wonder if I could wear a wife beater and a trench coat together.
You totally pull it off, bruh. One of the lines that interested me the most that I would like to, on subsequent watches, really dive into and analyze is when the hippie teacher says, whether to kill yourself or not is one of the most important decisions a teenager can make.
That line just kills me.
It really...
Is this not a time for troubled youth?
It's a kind of the main point of this larger topic that I'll segue into now, of the using teen suicide as a criticism of high school and adolescence and that suburban morality structure, and that I think that line could be a big window into what they were trying to say with all of that I haven't quite gotten my head around upon this first watch.
I know it's Daniel Waters that actually said that like he didn't, because like this film got so much shit for in the 80s for being a pro-suicide movie, and he's like, that was not at all my intent.
No, yeah.
It's like my intent was very obviously an anti-suicide film. He's like, I just wanted to present it in a really goofy way, and it's interesting, especially.
Well, that's a problem. It's a problem with using satire, because if people take it at face value, then they're not going to get it. Then it will be misinterpreted.
No, exactly, and like I thought, especially in the '80s, it was such a bold idea to take a very serious topic like the idea of suicide, and present it in a comedic fashion, and especially with all the uproar recently with that new Netflix show 13 Reasons Why, which is a very dour depiction of adolescence and suicide.
It dives deep into it.
I thought it was interesting how they can present. I'm not going to say those the same themes, but like how they can tackle a similar subject in a very radically different, more entertaining way, honestly. Like I just watched the trailer for 13 Reasons Why and said, I'm not watching this. This looks depressing.
I watched I think the first 4 episodes. My wife watched the whole series.
My wife hated it, by the way.
I think I forgot to ask her. Both my wife and I were very concerned with the protagonist's motivations. Why she's making the tape. Like, what is her mind state as she approaches that moment when she's making all of these tapes, and does that make sense? And I think the whole story needed to play out before that would be revealed, whether or not it ended up making sense. So, but as of the point that I stopped watching, it's still like it wasn't sitting well with me.
Yeah, I think
it didn't make sense for that character.
I don't remember if my wife watched it all, but she just did not like the depiction of it, and but yet had no problem with Heathers, because I feel like Heathers is not taking itself very seriously.
No, it's using it as as a way to satirically look at other things and again, send an anti-suicide message.
And it's one thing that really intrigued me about Heathers was like how the idea of suicide quickly became associated with the popular kids, and when Martha Dunstock tried killing herself unsuccessfully, and Heather McNamara, which is Shannon Doherty's character, Heather Duke, sorry. I used to know them all. Like I know which Heather's which. She was like essentially criticizing her. It's like, look at her trying to be like one of the popular kids. It's like, why is suicide a popular thing to do?
Right.
And then like the whole, JD I think said at one point in the film that Heather Chandler was more popular dead than she was alive.
Right. That all of the characters that did it suddenly took on a very different meaning to all of the other people. Mm-hmm. Like who they were as a living person was in complete contrast to who they were as a dead person.
Yeah, like it's fun. Like the notes that Veronica and JD wrote gave these characters more depth than they ever had.
To me, though, suicide is the natural answer to the myriad of problems life has given me.
That's good, but Heather would never use the word myriad.
This is the last thing she'll ever write. She's gonna want to cash in on as many 50-cent words as possible.
Yeah, but she missed myriad on the vocab test 2 weeks ago.
That only proves my point more. The word is a badge for her failures at school.
That wasn't even written by them.
Yeah.
So, and there's something to be said for what those letters and how they were received, what they say about Winona Ryder's character.
Mm-hmm.
Also, something real quick, you mentioned how Winona Ryder had just finished filming Beetlejuice, and there's the other connection to Beetlejuice through the character that played the officiant over the funerals.
God, why can't I think of his name? I love this actor.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, I got it. It's Glenn Shaddix.
He was great. He started out playing it so
Eskimo
level, but then by the time you hit that dream sequence in the end, like it's the character. It's more like the character that I knew from Beetlejuice, which was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And it's the whole Eskimo thing is funny to me because like I've always been interested to go through my copy of Moby Dick and find out if the word Eskimo is even said in there. I don't think it is,
okay.
But what's interesting to note is Moby Dick was not the original choice for that book.
Okay.
Originally, it was going to be Catcher in the Rye that she was going to be obsessed with, which would have made more sense with the story.
It's a more literal, yeah.
And apparently, originally they actually had passages directly from Catcher in the Rye that they were reading from, and Daniel Waters said it made a lot more sense, but Salinger would not give them the rights to use it.
Oh, okay.
So he swapped it to Moby Dick, and he says in the commentary, he's like, it works. Doesn't work well, but it works.
It's a little more wedged in.
Yeah. But no, Glenn Shaddix's character, and then like how weird those dream sequences got, where they're all like, wearing the 3D glasses, and they got the big inflatable plants. Could not think of that word. And then I just love like when Heather Chandler's fixing her hair with the holy water.
Yeah, totally.
And she's like, I had probably 40 more people at my funeral. No, I thought like I don't want to say this movie's realistic because like even like in its reality it's very stylized because they were trying to pick clothing options and dialogue options that didn't date itself too much, so they're trying to pick clothing that like people aren't wearing this right now.
Yeah.
Like and trying to make up their own dialogue, make up their own slang as not to date the film super much.
I didn't get that same reaction I had to watching Lost Boys for the first time, where it was like, wow, this is such a like you can tell exactly when that movie was made.
Yeah.
Like, at no point watching Heathers was I like, oh boy, that doesn't hold up as well now, or it was more universal.
Yeah. So I always thought that was really cool that he just really wanted, he didn't want, for example, like if for us to watch it and just be stuck on the fact that this is the 80s, he was thinking for the future a little bit, and and that's why we have such great, this has such great dialogue. Like two of my favorites are fuck me gently with the chainsaw, because
Yeah, of course.
I say that near almost like I feel like once a week I find a way to work that into conversation, and people just look at me funny. And then Swatch Dogs and Diet Coke Heads just killed me.
Okay, I missed that one.
Yeah, she's writing her diary very passionately, and she's like,
With a monocle.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by Swatch Dogs and Diet Coke Heads.
Awesome.
And I was like, oh, you rock. I like you. The one thing I've not been able to figure out, though, is the obsession with croquet. Because it seems like such a weird sport. And I feel like Daniel Waters might have talked about it at some point. I just don't remember, like, why croquet?
That strikes me as another one of those, like, monocle choices. Like,
Yeah.
And again,
that's what that should be referred to as now, as a monocle choice.
Right. If I continue the parallel with my film, like how they're playing Scrabble throughout my film, there's not really a strong reason for it, but it gives it an interesting landscape to set a scene with. And I think it spoke to their upper class white suburban lifestyle.
Or maybe they're like me and they're just a nerd for details. Like if I'm writing a script and I could, like, you know, two characters, Nick and Michael, are sitting playing a game. Do I just want to say playing a game, or do I just want to pick a game arbitrarily just because it's a detail?
You totally want to pick a game arbitrarily, or pick something out. Make it as so long as it adds to the scene. It doesn't have to add anything specific, but it has to help give it all dimension. And I think that's what those little silly things do, is give dimension and life and breadth to a film.
Like, for example, I wrote a script not too long ago where a character works at the comic book shop and someone comes in and asks for the very famous Green Arrow comic where Speedy's got the heroin needle sticking out his arm. Why? Just because I think that cover's funny as hell.
You're right. Yeah.
So I wrote that comic into the story just because I think it's funny as hell. Continue.
That's our prerogative as writers.
Yeah, it makes me laugh. It's going in the script. All right, so we got the big topic of suicide and out of the way. I was gonna ask you your opinion, since this movie's new for you, but you know it was written in 1988. Do you see the tremors of this film in films since? Because this is the film that launched 1,000 Ships, where it went on to inspire a lot of other filmmakers.
Okay.
And I was curious to, like, if you were noticing any of them. Like, you're like, oh, this feels like this film. I wonder if they're inspired by it. And
right. I think, I tend to be a little hesitant to pin a single point as a branch off, because I'm sure that Heathers is a point from some other film's branch. Like, everything is inspired by a range of other things to some degree.
Yeah.
So I tend to just get a little wary about getting too specific about how this film influenced all these others. Though kind of what some of my thoughts on that is, like, I mentioned that I loved the dialogue. Yeah. And it's the same kind of appreciation that I have for the dialogue in the Kevin Smith films.
Yep.
And it's the same kind of dialogue that I try and write. Very pop culture laden and
kind of
quippy,
wordy at times
wordy,
too.
That not every sentence has to be absolutely meaningful, but it still adds something. It's not there to fall flat and do nothing. I saw the connection to, like I said, the Weird Science, Pretty in Pink, Such St. Candles films. A lot of it cinematically, and the subject's age, race, income level. You could make many connections to tackling such a dark topic in a very light, almost sarcastic way. You know, that you can see that throughout. Though again, I don't know that I'd be so quick to say, "Oh, that's because Heathers did it first." But
No, that's fair. But I was more so like not necessarily like I guess just like if you feel like Heathers in its own weird way, its own cult way, if it worked its way into pop culture, whether people know it or not.
absolutely.
Through people being inspired.
I'll point to something that my wife and I have seen like 5 million times, Gilmore Girls, which is very pop culture laden, but there are several references to Heathers within Gilmore Girls, and you don't need to know Heathers in order to appreciate what's being said. Like there's a point where Lorelai tells Rory, "Oh, you're the new Heather," because she takes the place as the popular girl suddenly in her grade school or middle school, and
That was actually a line from the show.
yeah,
Wow.
you're the new Heather.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure Rory at one point says, "What's your damage, Heather?" Also, when somebody bangs into her at school.
I've said that as well.
Yeah. What's your damage, Heather?
And I also say it's very.
And I will also from now on be saying "fuck me gently" with a chainsaw.
Cause it's you can work it into any situation.
It's so good.
Like I want someone to say it at my funeral one day.
What I'm gonna say at your funeral, well, I'll be a ghost and I'll be saying I had like 40 more people at mine.
As it should be, Nick. As it should be. I guess the reason I wanted to ask this question was because when I saw this film in high school, I saw it right before Jason Reitman's Juno came out.
Okay.
And I just remember like drawing parallels, not necessarily in the story, but just like the vibe.
Yeah, I could see that. I saw Juno when it came out. Obviously, I hadn't seen Heathers to make the connection, and because I only saw Juno once, I don't remember enough of it to be able to go back. But if I ever do get the chance to see Juno again, I'll definitely be looking for it.
It would be a very on-the-nose double feature, but
right.
I think
not always a bad thing.
No, not always a bad thing. It's just two very radical views on high school, presented in very different ways. Juno to me it feels like the love child of Heathers and every Wes Anderson film.
Right.
Specifically, I guess his earlier stuff like Bottle Rocket and whatnot, but that's what it feels like to me.
And where Heathers takes on teen suicide, Juno takes on teen pregnancy.
Yeah. So there's definitely parallels there. Hold on, I had something I wanted to mention, but I completely lost it. That's never good. Like when you have like a point you want to make.
It suddenly seems much more poignant once it's gone.
Yeah, it does. It was probably nothing. Oh, one thing I really was amused by was hold on, what was her name? Heather Graham was originally gonna play the lead Heather, which
really?
I love. Yeah, Heather Graham was really interested in doing it, but her mother didn't want her to do it because she thought the material was too scandalous. However, she went on later on to play like a heroin addict, like a year later or so. So like that's fine.
Mom came around.
But this one I love, and I would have loved to see how this would have played out. Brad Pitt almost got the role for JD.
Interesting.
But they thought he came across too nice.
Like, speaking of on the nose, I think Christian Slater is the on the nose choice.
Yeah.
But Brad Pitt has obviously proven himself as a very dynamic actor. Now, whether or not he could have pulled it off when he was younger, I don't know. But I have no reason to believe that he wouldn't have brought something very interesting to the role.
Yeah, I would have loved to see how, like, just think about this original casting. Jennifer Connelly was originally going to be Veronica. So for those of you listening who don't know Jennifer Connelly, she was in Labyrinth and Dario Argento's Phenomenon, aka Creepers.
And the Darren Aronofsky film that still has darkened my soul. God, what is that one?
Requiem for a Dream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one haunts my nightmares.
It haunts everyone's
And
nightmares.
it's a great film. I'll never watch it again.
Yeah, understandable. So Brad Pitt was going to play JD, so that's just a very interesting 1-2 punch. And then Heather Graham was originally going to play the original Heather. However, what's interesting, how you said Christian Slater was the more on-the-nose choice.
Yeah.
He got that role because he was dating Kim Walker, who played the lead Heather. And Liz Ann Falk, who played the other Heather, the one that no one seems to care about as much because she's just kind of there.
I'll quote Mean Girls, because she's blah, damn, I fucked it up. Edit. And by that I mean don't edit. Nobody ever remembers her because she's such a slut.
Yeah. I didn't know this until I was listening to the commentary, but like apparently Daniel Waters was really interested, like obsessed with Liz Ann Falk because she wrote a book that he was really into called, cause she used to be a model before she was an actress. It was called Liz Ann, a Young Model. And he was just obsessed with like this girl who wrote a book about being a model and just like how scandalous it was. So he was just, like when he saw her name on the call sheet, he's like, Liz Ann Fox auditioning? Can we just give her the role? So she got that role because like he was like super into the book, and and this really this really rings true when you see the movie, read a script and everything. You can tell that Daniel Waters was a sucker for pop culture, and not just like he watched a lot of movies, but he was into, like, he said he wrote, the reason that Veronica has her really crazy journal entries because she said he was obsessed with the idea of the girl book, is what he called it. The book, that's written from the perspective of a young high schooler talking about her issues in high school. He said they were really popular in the 80s and the 70s, and he was really obsessed with those types of books. So he wanted to make his version of it, so having Winona Ryder narrate the entire film,
right,
as if this is her girl book.
Nice. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know where to come from that, but
yeah, no, I think that was a good discussion. You want to branch off into anything else?
Not unless you feel like anything you want. You were telling me earlier about some stuff that you're doing through work. If you want to promote yourself a little bit.
Oh, sure, yeah. So, I work for a foundation, the Avalon Foundation.
Woo!
And woot woot. And we run an annual arts festival for outdoor painting from life. And that style is called plein air. So we run the biggest outdoor painting festival in the nation, Plein Air Easton. And I think it's either the 13th or 14th year. And so that's coming up. That's why I've been so busy lately. I know you and I have had trouble getting this episode scheduled. And
yes.
We had a couple of like plan Bs, but I'm glad we got to record this. Even though I've been so busy, whether it was me recording, you offered, well, I'll just record another solo episode so that we can get this, so that we don't fall behind. But it was really important to me to make sure that I wasn't absent like 3 episodes in a row.
Yeah.
Because this podcast is important to me.
Aw, well.
So
if you want to get,
but Plein Air Easton, it's gonna be huge. I'm putting a lot of, I'll be putting a lot of video clips up. through Facebook and YouTube if you want to check it out, see what's happening. A lot of really beautiful paintings are going to happen. A lot of really cool artists are going to be here. They're just fun to hang out with and talk to. So that's what I'll be doing for the next 2 weeks.
Nick, learn to promote yourself. Names, dates, locations.
Oh, jeez. I am terrible at self-promotion. Thank you for whipping me into shape. It takes place in Easton, Maryland. I believe the official kickoff is this either Friday or Saturday, the 14th or 15th, and goes through until Sunday, the 23rd.
That's a long time.
It is a very long festival, and that doesn't include the pre-festival stuff. There's a paint out that happens before that.
Paint out.
A lot of
That's
little
cute.
things. Yeah. Basically, the streets of Easton are like filled with painters for over a week. You can walk around, talk to the artists, and see what they're doing. There's a lot of structured events for kids and for people that are just like consider themselves artists or art fans. It's a really cool event. Times are, always over that week. You can go to pleinareaston.com. You can go to avalonfoundation.org. Find us on Facebook. That's where you can see all the videos. Or if you find the MCTV YouTube page, Midshore Community Television, not only can you find all of the plein air videos that I'll be posting, but also the TV versions of the Shameless Picture Show podcast.
Woo! Which I've heard is doing pretty good on your YouTube page.
Not too shabby. We're like, for our YouTube page, Shameless is the second most popular show.
Yeah, and it's probably mostly because of me. I keep refreshing.
That's awesome. Second only to Talbot Rising, which is our local political show.
Well, that's understandable. You should do me a favor.
Okay.
When you are at this painting festival, just very nonchalantly walk up to one of the artists and, just strike up a conversation with them. And then just say to them, so if you ever see a red door, do you want to paint it black? And just see how pissed off they get.
Look really serious when I say it. Like I'm really interested in their answer.
Yeah. And see if they get it, because that'd be funny. That'd be funny if they didn't.
I will try and do that.
Thank you. It'd be even better if you just recorded it while it was happening too.
And then start going bum 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 bum.
That'd be fantastic. I guess for me, I don't really have a whole lot going on because I had just finished my tenure with Trauma Entertainment as one of their editors. My newest video was just posted. It was has such a long title. I think it's film your own damn nude shower scene with Ophelia Rain, who is a goth porn star.
Nice.
It's edited on YouTube, but if you have the Trauma Now app, you can watch all the boobs for free. Well, not free. It's like $3.99 a month, but whatever. So I was editing for them for like 4 years. I started with them shortly before, a little bit before I met my wife. I think I did maybe 1 or 2 videos before I met her for the first time. Okay. And I just realized, man, I've been doing this for a while. I should move on a little bit. And since then, I've booked a music video that I'm going to be shooting.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we got like underwater slow motion cameras.
What?
So it's like we're gonna do some weird stuff with these cameras.
Very cool.
And just trying to get things made. However, I forgot there's an integral part to this episode that I completely forgot.
Okay.
A friend of mine named Steven.
Ah, yes.
A friend of mine named Steven Millick. Millick? He's gonna correct me later on. He and his good friend Christopher Kai House, they run a film festival here in Milwaukee called the Twisted Dreams Film Festival. To my knowledge, it is the first successful genre film festival, and just mainly because there's no other ones around, and they've lasted for they're going on the 3rd year, so there you go. It was a really cool festival. I got them involved with Trauma the first year, where Lloyd recorded some fun incident, like pre-show, like turn off your cell phone videos for them. Yeah. And got them the rights to show the midnight movie.
Blood-sucking freaks!
So I helped them out with that. And then the second year, they debuted my newest film, Do You Love Me? So they're a bunch of good dudes. Well, anyway, Stephen Millick, he just crossed Heathers off his own personal shame list because with the intent of writing something about the correlation between Heathers and 13 Reasons Why.
Okay. All right.
He recorded a little audio thingy for us, talking about his opinion, his thoughts on Heathers. So we're gonna play that for you right now.
Awesome.
Let's see if I can get it to work.
Thanks, guys, for inviting me on to talk about the movie Heathers. This movie has been on my shame list for a while, and even before I knew you guys were going to do a show on it, I decided to put it on Netflix and actually watch it. So I went into this movie not really knowing what to expect. I've heard good things about it, but that could always be tossed up to people feeling nostalgic when you see a movie as a kid, build this the idea that it's the greatest movie ever up in your head, but sometimes those movies don't hold up over time. Kind of half expected it to just be cheesy 80s teen drama film, kind of after school special type of thing, but turns out I was completely wrong. It was a really great film. Winona Ryder and Christian Slater kind of top of the game in this one, and the story is different enough from any other teen movies that even today it still feels fresh. I knew from talking to people that the movie was kind of a dark tale in high school, but I really wasn't prepared on how dark or violent it really got. Kept waiting for it to back off a little or kind of more play it for laughs, but it kept going and pushed it pretty far. And like I said, high school's movies are always a product at times, and there's no denying that this takes place in the 80s. It's very obvious about that. But stories about people struggling to be popular or being bullied are always going to be timeless stories. So you can really get that feeling that like they tap into something like this experience in high school that a lot of people have. And while they can't really relate to these characters because they're kind of outrageous characters, but it makes that feeling that it taps into makes the movie kind of feel honest and a little bit relatable. And you can really see this influence in later movies, especially movies like Mean Girls, which Mike had pointed out to me that has a direct connection to Heather, so it wasn't something I was imagining while I was watching it. But this movie stands on its own, and I can't think of any other movie quite like it. Overall, it's a great flick with some great acting and a smart story that isn't afraid to go to the dark side of high school storytelling. And thanks again for having me on, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the show. I'm looking forward to listening to it when it's published. Thanks. Bye.
So, yeah.
Nice.
It looks like he had a similar opinion as you did.
I was, my whole time listening to that, I'm like, he said much more concisely and intelligently what I have been babbling about this whole time. He shared my opinion nearly to the letter, but said it very, very much gooder.
If it makes you feel better, that was his second take.
Okay, that does make me feel better.
Heathers 2. So I imagine the first one might have been like an hour long, just like.
Because I'm rolling live, bitches.
Yeah. I might not even edit this just to show how live we are. We're the 2 Live crew up in here. Shameless picture show with 2 Live crew, Mike and Nick.
I am so white.
Yeah, I am too.
Well, thank you very much for providing that contribution to this conversation. That was awesome, and I love stuff like that. Like, I loved when you talked to your mom for the Mother's Day Gone with the Wind episode.
I wish it would have been a little bit longer, but yeah, I loved that too.
So I would love to do stuff like that more often.
Me too. So if any of you notice that something we're talking about is something you've just seen for the first time, let us know. Record something. I think he just recorded that on his phone. We'll play it. We like hearing. We like knowing other people are listening.
You too can also be just as famous as Nick and Michael.
Because right now he's gonna be on the YouTube show.
Yeah, not.
He's going to be on the second most watched show on that channel.
On public access, MCTV.
That is the big leagues, people. Mystery Science Theater started on public access.
That's right.
Remember that.
That's right.
So.
Joy of Painting with Bob Ross. That's public
And that's
access.
on Netflix. Both shows are on Netflix.
Right?
Netflix is next. It's
one of them
Next
got
Flix.
rebooted.
Yeah. And it ain't Bob Ross.
Right? Just saying.
The one that we all thought was gonna happen, it wasn't him.
So, my coworker and I one day were found this like 5 public access TV shows that you didn't know you were missing in your life.
Was one of them the Red Green Show?
No, but that is a good show. I
Yes,
totally
it
know
is.
exactly what you're referring to.
Oh, Canada.
I used to watch that back to back with Red Dwarf on PBS when I was in high school.
Yep.
Anyway, one of them was clearly like a Bob Ross inspired show where this guy is painting and doing painting instruction. Except the 2 things that made it different is 1, he was in a suit and tie the whole time.
No, okay.
And 2, he was running on a treadmill the entire time. So of course he's getting paint all over his suit while he's painting and explaining what it is that he's doing. And then after he painted the picture, he then went and attempted to hot glue popsicle sticks into a castle. And because he was running on the treadmill, kept burning his fingers so badly.
Oh my! And this is an ongoing show?
I don't know if it's still on a public access show, but it can be found online. I will try and find the name of it and include it on our Facebook page.
That if that could sustain more than one episode, that's impressive.
Yeah, no, it was an ongoing series.
Wow.
To the best of my knowledge.
Well, next the Shameless Picture Show is going to be on that, and then if we ever get around to making the DVDs, we'll eventually be for rent.
Yes.
In Chicago. So we are all over the country, not just in one state.
Woo!
You can see us on television in Maryland. You can listen to us everywhere, and you can rent us in Chicago.
On the YouTubes.
And the YouTubes, yeah. So this has been a pretty good episode, Nick.
Yeah, I think so.
Do we have a topic for next time, or are we going to stew on it for a little bit?
I think we'll stew on it for a little bit, though we have mentioned recently both Taxi Driver and Apocalypse Now, which I think would both be good to tackle soon.
Yeah, let's go from the light topic as of teenage suicide, then go to war, and so being a taxi driver. I don't really know what that movie's about. I haven't seen it.
It's if you've seen the TV show Taxi, they're pretty much the same thing.
That's kind of what I figured, which is probably
they're
the reason.
both about taxis.
Yeah, and like a mohawk. I don't know. I just know his name is Travis Bickle, with rhymes of Dick Trickle, and he's a race car driver.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
I don't really know how to end this, Nick. So
that would be consistent with what we have done for the last 16 episodes.
Oh. Going on being consistent with the last couple episodes, we're not going to end yet because I need to mention you will not be here next week.
Correct.
So just so no one's expecting another double episode with both of us, I'm going to have to go solo again. I'll probably make my wife come and talk to me. She doesn't like talking to me, but I'll convince her to do it. We'll probably do something together. I have a couple topics in mind. Nick is going to be busy
with planner.
Yeah, and asking artists if they paint Red Doors black. Or ask if they can paint on a treadmill. That'd be equally impressive.
Yeah, an instructional video.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be alone next week, but it'll be fun.
One is the loneliest number. I thought you were going to keep talking, so that became much more focused on my singing than I intended it to be.
I saw your mouth opening, and I was just like, I'm going to stop right now and make him...
Two.
I was enjoying
not
it.
as bad as one.
Anyways.
It's the loneliest number since the number one.
I don't know why they let you get away with this at work. Like, you're paid to talk to me right now. Like,
it was my boss's idea. Funny
I know.
Story.
Now, if only I can convince my bosses to let me edit this show at my job.
There you go.
Because I've got a feat ahead of me to get this edited before it goes up tomorrow. But it'll be
right
fun.
under the buzzer.
Yeah. It might.
Is that us? What the sports say?
Yep. That's why I have never established a time. Just a day.
Yep. You have until 11:59.
Yep. But anyways, I think now we're done.
I think we are. Well, as always, it was a real pleasure, and talking film with you is one of the highlights of my bye week.
I'll take that.
Is one of the highlights of my every other week.
Mine too.
And this was a really great film, and it's another example of why I'm grateful for the show, because as you can see on our Facebook page, my shame list is very long and only gets bigger by the day, and because of this, I'm able to start making some serious progress, checking them off and seeing some of these great films.
Yep. And actually, I don't know if any of our listeners use the app Letterboxd. But what I was on Letterboxd, you can keep track of lists of movies that you've seen or movies you want to see. I was going to, whenever I have the time, to sit down and make 3 lists. One of Nick's shame list, one of mine, and then one of everything we've watched. So that way,
sounds great.
You can keep track of it at home. And what's nice about Letterboxd is you can select an option that'll gray out anything that you've seen, so that way you can kind of work your way through the list with us.
That sounds great. I'm looking forward to that.
Cool. I'll let you know when that's up, and I'll post links on the Facebooks. But
all right,
Nick, you have a good bye week.
Yes, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your next solo episode. I always enjoy those.
Did you listen to the last one? Because I felt like I feel like I was rambling a little bit, but they all kind of are.
I did not, but it is the only episode that I have not listened to. So
that's fair. Yeah, I always have to listen to every episode because I edit them.
You're right. Normally, I take the weekend to catch up on that, but this last weekend was my birthday, and my one-day party kind of turned into like a 3-day crazy, like just cool weekend.
Cool guys playing D&D and shit. Yeah.
And card games and old school video games. I made sure that my NES and my SNES were hooked up and working. And
I'm really bummed out that like the SNES Classic is coming out. Well, I'm not bummed out about that, but I'm bummed out that they have like all the some of the rarest games on the SNES they have available on there, like Super Mario RPG, Final Fantasy 3, things that like cost you $80 for just the fucking cartridge. And the problem is, like, me and the missus, we were thinking about getting the Switch, and we can't afford the Switch and the SNES Classic. So here, like, I guess
Sophie's choice.
Yeah. Granted, I could just get like
it's definitely that level of intensity.
Yeah, granted, I could get emulators, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same.
But we've said goodbye 3 times now. I think that's always our goal.
That's the number. That's the magic number. Yeah.
All
right, dude. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Everybody at home, watch Heathers. Let us know what you think.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.